Another car that'll be appearing on the videos will be the S2000. Got some things to do to this. Yep. Yeah. If you know, you know. But what we're going to be working on right now is this has a older style Alpine head unit in it. Currently with no auxiliary input. And the USB input down here, I'm not sure. You might need a stick for that, but I've tried to hook into that and it doesn't work. So essentially it's a CD player. Now the original owner to this car did have, you know, all the goodies, put an XM radio and Bluetooth, but that was 10 pounds of wiring under the dash, which I've already removed. But this unit does have an adapter to keep the controls. So I want to pull that out and save that because I got a different Alpine head unit to go in this that does have auxiliary input and Bluetooth built in. So we're going to go with that. So we're going to look at what it takes to get this radio out of here, which we need to start with the dash vents. We'll pull them out of the way. There's a couple screws in that whole assembly we'll pull out. I think we might need to pull these side panels out, which there's one screw that holds them in and a couple of clips. One other project while we're in here is, I know it's small, but I have a scratch on that faceplate, which there's not a lot to look at in this car, so that just bugs me. So I have the factory replacement for that. I also have a Club Racer version, which was carbon fiber look. Not sure which one I'm going to put on yet, but we'll get that straightened out too. And then, as most things we do are on the budget-friendly side of things. Yeah, I know, love the speaker box, but that's homemade and handy. And it works because, of course, S2000s need some help. But I also have something else in the stereo department to wrap that up. So these are a custom box that fit in the well right here. You know, something I think we got off eBay. So my plan there is I'm going to get the wires inside the box. I'm actually going to install the amp inside the box too, so it's just out of the way. And then we'll put the kicker back in there and clean this area up. Just like the rest of the car, and there's not enough room in here, so we'll see if we can't tidy that up. So even better, no screws holding this in here. There's 6 clips, maybe 7 there. So that just pulls out. I did take out, well, at least loosen the center console, which is all clips. So I just started at the front, pulled all these up so I could get a little room in there to slide that panel back out of the way. Gives it enough room. So use a little bit of a plastic pry tool to get that vent and that bezel coming loose, and then just pulled it out. So now we can see the screws holding us in here. So we're gonna get those screws out, pull this radio out, and look at the wiring. So we got the head unit out, looking at the wiring in here. There's the factory harness. We got a splice in there. And that's running this little unit. This is what I want to save. This is the adapter to run the factory controls. So we'll get that wired into our new harness. Clean up this mess. Got a couple wires. This is the power wire for the amp, and then the RCA cables for the amp as well, so we'll keep them in there. When I wired that up there, I put in a joint right back in there so I can plug that in. So we'll get this mess cleaned up. I did get the factory to Alpine harness adapter, so we'll clean that up and get rid of most of this. You can see there's not too much room in there, so we'll get everything as slim as possible. So the wiring was kind of a pain, but you know, the harness is color to color. So I got everything tucked back in there, and before I get any further, I wanted to turn it on, test it out, which everything's working as it should. So we're gonna go on and change the faceplate. With the faceplate, I ultimately went with the factory replacement because what little bit of accents there are is that brushed aluminum look, and the carbon fiber was just dark and didn't match the rest of the center console, so I just went with what is supposed to be there. Change this, and I'm not super looking forward to that, but I already started pushing the pins out. So there's 2 roll pins on both sides. Those have to be pushed out. One side has a spring in there to work it. The other side's got the gear. The back side got a little mechanism to make it operate smoothly. So I'm gonna push them pins out and try to get that stuff all lined back up. The new faceplate is just that. So comes with a new faceplate, and you gotta put them pins in there, but there are no springs, and we'll have to get that lined out. So that wasn't too bad. I used just a little punch and pliers, push those pins out to where I could grab them with the pliers, pull them out. The spring was a little bit of a challenge to get back together properly. It's got a little groove that it sits in, but got that back together, and then get rid of that mark. Actually had a couple small marks there too, so much better. So the radio's done. I'm just gonna clean up a few things, clean my way back out, reinstall this stuff, and we'll get on to the speaker box. All right, before we get started with this, of course there's straight battery power going to this, so I disconnected the battery. So we're just gonna get these connections loose, get the amp out of there, get this box out of here, and then we're gonna see if the amp won't fit in the new speaker box. Well, first setback, the amp fits in there nice. I gotta get a hole to pass the wiring through, which I'll probably just use that speaker connection because I don't need that anymore. And it goes without saying, you're gonna wanna have your amp settings where you want them, because you know, you have to take the speaker out to get that. I've had this car for a while, so that's pretty dialed in, and I'm pretty happy with that. What I'm not happy with is, you know, the fitment of this box is not too bad. Maybe I should have read the descriptions a little better, because that I like. Except for the fact that you have to take all its tools out to fit that in there, which we're not going to be doing. So it's not going to fit flush like I want it to. But I'll put that stuff back in there and show you what the box looks like. Everything reinstalled. This is pretty much what your factory configuration would look like. And you know, and then you have your jack and tools underneath that little panel. And now when I set that box in there, of course with the rest of that stuff in there, it does not fit flush, which was the whole reason to buy this box, just so that fit flush over there. I mean, it still fits in there nice and looks way better than the homemade and handy, but ultimately I actually lost a little bit of room because I used to have a spot in here where you could still set stuff with a smaller box. So I'm not sure if I want to finish installing this or look for a different option at this point. And we'll see what I chose. Not super happy there, but you need a jack and tools just in case. Does look cleaner than the homemade box. Got the wires tucked in. All in all, pretty good result. And I got a new head unit. Got the box put in. That was actually a Christmas gift, and it's end of June. So got that done. Appreciate you watching. comments, suggestions below.